A few of those in throughout the morning. Also, you can always call 651-989-5855.
Republican gubernatorial candidate Scott Jensen on Tuesday this week named former Minnesota Vikings center Matt Birk as his running mate.
My bad.
Joining us right now here on Justice and Drew is Matt Birk himself. Good morning, sir. Thank you so much for coming on with us this morning.
My pleasure, guys. How are you?
Doing fantastic. It's great to hear from you. First question: What was the impetus? What prompted you? I know. Ever since you left the NFL, since you left football, you've been getting a little more vocal on politics here and there. But what was the impetus? What was the catalyst for actually throwing your hat in the ring and joining Scott Jensen's ticket?
Well, I think it was two things. One, the last couple years have been pretty bad for Minnesota. And I think the main reason for that is just a total lack or absence of leadership from the governor's office. And then number two was getting to know Scott Jensen. Met Scott about a year ago and just sort of, gradually got involved, spent more time with him, went to some events, and was just really impressed by Scott, the man. And then also the true grassroots movement that he has created here in Minnesota. It's really something special. I've been to a bunch of his events, and most of the people there are just like me. They've never in their life been to an event for a candidate, but they decided that they had to do something. And so I was just really impressed by Scott, and it just kind of made sense for me to come along and be his lieutenant governor.
Well, and this is a little redundant to Matt Birk, but I'd like you to go a little bit deeper, and it fits in nicely with the conversations we've been having on the show this morning, and looking at long term, and how do we begin to fix the many problems that we have here in the state, the many problems that we have in Minneapolis. I mean, there needs to be a change in leadership, and I think we all agree. And as you just mentioned, we need a change of leadership at the top as well. Given your knowledge, your background, your name ID. What about this particular position in joining Scott Jensen do you find most appealing? And I assume where you think that you can use the skills that you bring to be most effective. Why this particular position?
Well, I'm not even really sure what the job description is of the lieutenant governor. I mean, there really is no job description, right? So it's kind of wide open. But Scott and I have talked, and I've been deeply involved in education for a long time. I started a foundation in 2002. We've done all sorts of things around education. I started a private Catholic high school in Burnsville. I mean, that's my main passion. So I know that I can help there and provide leadership. And also, I think when it comes to small business, I own multiple small businesses. I love small business. And right now our state probably makes it as hard as possible for somebody to get a small business off the ground and be able to thrive and prosper. And I really think that small businesses are the backbone and heartbeat of communities. And so I think those are two areas. And the great thing about being a lieutenant governor is I think you can basically write whatever job description you want and dive in and use your strengths and help be a leader, a thought leader, and help get things done.
What's the reception been so far since you jumped in the race? And talk a little bit about, as you've become a little bit more vocal politically. I mean, I know I've heard you on our sister station KFAN and our friend Paul Allen's show for years. Talking about the Vikings, and you got a great football mind, and hearing sort of break down games and schemes and things like that's always fascinating. And I know you got a large following via that. How receptive have they been to your jumping into politics?
Yeah, I don't think anybody's super shocked. I mean, I don't know. You say politics. I mean, when and where do you cross that line? I mean, back in 2012, I wrote op-eds on the marriage amendment. I've always been an outspoken pro-life advocate. So I don't know. I guess that's a political issue. I think it goes beyond that. But I think I've oftentimes, well before now, have used my platform to speak out for what I think is truth. Have done things to try to been a positive influence in my community. So I guess as I look back now, I say, wow, there's a part of me that says I can't believe. I mean, I'm getting involved in politics. but I guess it seems kind of natural, right? Because I like full contact sports, so I can't play football anymore, so I might as well do this now.
Yeah, Mr. Birk, Paul Allen from the Love Covenant Times. Good morning.
Here we go.
Is it true that all the by faith approach to life that you have learned through 9 to Noon and KFAN has catapulted you into this decision?
Oh, there's no question, Paul. The spiritual counseling that you've given me the last few years and our friendship the last 25 years, you told me point blank last week. You said, Matt, you need to go into politics. So I'm just doing what you told me, Paul.
Now, is it also true, because this is a vicious rumor running around social media, that low-key you made a run for the Minnesota Vikings general manager's job and you lost, so that propelled you to go into a world of politics?
Listen, I know that there's two things I can do. I can help lead this state to where it should be, and I think it should be the best state in America. And the second thing I know I can do is I could lead the Minnesota Vikings to a Super Bowl, but I can't do both, Paul. So I had to choose one.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna help the state first, and then we will bring the Lombardi Trophy to Minnesota.
I ain't here to hijack anybody's show, and
got invaded.
Justice and Drew and Miss Sam, thank you very much for letting me walk in. Matt,
yeah, man.
Matt is a quarter-century friend of mine, and when I started not only calling Vikings games in 2002, but when I moved here full-time in 1998, Matt was one of my very first friends, and he is the genuine article. I wish you nothing but the best, young man, and anything you do with these guys is nothing but positive. I love them both, and I wish you nothing but the best, all right?
Paul, I love you, and I know we won't be doing radio together anymore, but we're still going to be chatting a lot.
Yeah, that's okay. Your former backup center, Corey Withrow, is going to be in studio today, and we're going to raise him the way we raised you, okay? Good luck, my brother.
Yeah.
Thanks for popping in, PA. Always good. It was good to get a little surprise PA visit.
Just a wild PA sighting.
Wild PA appeared.
Here.
Yeah, I was completely thrown off there for a moment, and then looked at the weather, and I saw it was 7 degrees outside, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is not football season.
So, Matt Birk, I see here, I was doing a little research on you. You know, I got to do my due diligence, and I see here it says you were once voted the 6th smartest NFL player. Who were the five ahead of you?
Well, I mean, the only natural question there is, who are the 5 ahead of me, right?
Right, yeah.
How can that be possible? Yeah, obviously, very, very, very unscientific poll. But,
what? No.
You know, that's what we love. I mean, we love it in sports and we love it in politics, right? We love to take polls and do rankings and, being 6th, I guess that's not too shabby for a guy from St. Paul.
It's not too shabby. I'd take. There's a lot of people in the NFL, man. Top 6, pretty good. A lot of people in there. So you're obviously, jumping on the Scott Jensen ticket, and I've asked this question of almost everybody, who's come in on the gubernatorial front at least. We all are aware of how challenging it has been for a Republican to win a statewide election here in Minnesota. I'm curious to get your thoughts on why you think this cycle might be different, why you think the Jensen Birk ticket might be the right one to buck that trend, and specifically, what are some of the things that you intend to do over the course of the next several months to buck that trend?
Well, yeah, we know Minnesota Democrats have a head start when it comes to elections, and that's fine. But I think Scott and I are the right guys for a couple of reasons. One, I think what the last 2 years, what we've seen is a total absence of leadership. I mean, I saw the independent report that came out yesterday about the riots, and there's just Tim Walz was nowhere to be found when violent protesters were destroying the city, when they were lighting police stations on fire during the coronavirus. He was just very, very indecisive, exercised his emergency powers, and what did he do? He didn't follow the science. He followed the Democratic Party. And I think time has shown now that those were the wrong decisions to be made. So I think number one, I think people have seen it. They've seen what years and years and years of Democratic policies and in the crisis of the last 2 years. We've seen what we've gotten. And then number two, Scott and I, we're not politicians. We're not typical politicians. You look at the way Scott's run his campaign, totally goes against, I think, the traditional playbook. We're fresh faces, fresh voices, and we're just out there being ourselves, saying what we think. I think we've proven throughout our private lives that we are leaders. And I think Minnesota's in a place where And I think people in Minnesota are in a place where they're ready for a change. They're ready for something different. And Scott and I bring very complementary skills to the position, and that's why. I mean, I talk about running it differently. I'm running my own separate campaign. I have my own website. I encourage people to go there, mattburk.com. This has never been done before in the state of Minnesota, where a governor and a lieutenant governor run separate campaigns. But that's what we're doing, because I think Scott and I are both strong candidates.
Scott's made a name for himself on a national level, specifically in regards to a lot of his commentary around the COVID response. Tim Walz, we all saw how long he held on to those emergency powers and the damage that was done to small businesses around the state due to those COVID emergency rules and emergency powers. How much of a factor do you think the response to COVID will be when people, finally get around to casting their votes in the next election? The pandemic is kind of waning. It's not really front and center on a lot of people's minds anymore. Do you think people will forget? You think the memory of the electorate is long enough that they will remember the response, the government response to the pandemic when it comes time to cast those ballots in November?
I like how you said remember, because Scott and I are focused on the future, but we do have to remember what happened, and I do think we will, because the effects of Governor Tim Walz and his policies during the pandemic are still being felt, and unfortunately they'll be felt for years. Small businesses had to shut down; they're gone. Students have suffered learning loss. We're going to be trying to get them caught up for years and years and years. Mm-hmm. So I do think, and even though, quote, the pandemic is, quote, over all of a sudden, because I guess the government says it's over. The data doesn't say it's over. But I do think people will remember, because they'll still be feeling it.
Well, Matt Birk, thank you so much for coming on the program, man. It's great chatting with you. We look forward to having you on again over the course of this election cycle. I'm really excited that you've thrown your hat in the ring and that you've jumped on the Jensen ticket. I think it's going to add a lot of interest to a race that is incredibly important and needs a lot of attention.
Well, I appreciate that. I got to say, I haven't been listening to your show for a long time, but now I listen to it all the time.
That's right.
And I'm really enjoying it. You guys do a great job.
Oh, you are well on your way to becoming the fourth smartest NFL player.
Yeah.
You keep listening to our show.
And immediately you get the title of friend of the show. Friends are those that listen and like us. Fans are those that listen and maybe don't like us as much. So we'll give you a friend of the show status.
I've got both those people too in my life.
Matt Birk, thank you so much, man. We'll talk again soon.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.
From the Daily Wire, we're talking about this last hour. We'll do the short version before